Hey, welcome to another episode of Ask Samir. Today, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. Instead of answering one person's question, I'm going to do something that I'm doing for many of my clients, which is preparing them for their naturalization/citizenship interview. And I am going to tell you what to expect, many of the common factors that you should expect, and also some things that you may not be aware of when you go for your citizenship interview. I will talk about that right after this. Hi, I'm Samir Kumar, and I'm an immigration lawyer. During these videos, I answer the questions you ask, and I answer the questions you should ask. Now, before we get started, here's something important you need to know. The information in these videos is not legal advice. Also, watching these videos does not make me your lawyer, and it does not make you my client. I recommend that you speak to a licensed immigration attorney about your case before doing anything. If you want to speak to me, no problem. I'll tell you how to do that in just a few minutes. All right, let's get started. Hey, welcome back to Ask Samir. Today, I am going to be preparing you for your naturalization/citizenship interview. Now, I have made a list because I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. Now, I'm going to go through some of the very common things that you should expect at an interview, but I'm also going to go through some things that you may not have been aware of. So what I'm going to do is start this from beginning to end, from the time that you walk into the building to the time you leave, what you should expect. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer episode of Ask Samir, and if you have any questions of your own, you can always go to asksamir.com and ask them over there. So let's get started. So you walk into the building. Okay, so now when you walk into the building, let me tell you something. This is a federal government building. This might seem obvious. Don't bring any drugs, don't bring any weapons, no guns, no knives, and make sure that you have a government issued ID, like a passport or a driver's license with you so you can get into the building, because they are going to look at the notice that you have. You will have received an interview notice for your citizenship interview. Bring that with you, bring the original one with you, and bring your ID. When you go through security, yes, you have to empty your pockets and all that good stuff, just like flying, and ask the officer there where to go. Where do you go for your citizenship/naturalization interview? They will tell you what room to go to, and make sure you get there early, because in some cases you may be waiting quite some time to get into the building, and it might take a little time to get to the room. So leave plenty of time. Better to err on the side of just sitting there for many, many hours rather than getting there late. Okay? Most cases I say that you want to be there 30 to 60 minutes early, but that's 30 to 60 minutes early for your actual interview, not just getting to the building, because again, it might be quite a wait. All right. When you get to the room, make sure you hand in your citizenship interview notice saying, I'm here. Some places have a window, some places have a desk. It depends on where you are, which state, which county, all that good stuff. Just hand it in and say, hey, I'm here for my interview. I showed up on time. Okay? Don't be nervous. This is easier said than done. And the reason I say this is something from personal experience of being a lawyer so many years. When you file for your green card, these officers, their intention is to say, hey, listen, I need to make sure you're eligible. I need to question everything. I need to scrutinize your case to see if you should and you deserve a green card. And they are reasonably tough with the green card process to make sure they don't make any mistakes. However, once you've gotten your green card, once you've proven that you have good moral character, that you have obeyed the laws, that you would live in this country the way you're supposed to be living in this country, you're paying taxes, all that good stuff, then when you go for the citizenship interview, most officers, most locations, USCIS, they want you to get your citizenship. They encourage it. So if you've done everything by the rules, if you prepared everything properly, and you know basically everything that you filled out and submitted, don't be nervous, okay? Because you're not going to go there, you're not going to lie, and I'll talk about that in just a second. And they want to give you your citizenship. Just make sure you do what you're supposed to do to get it. Now, there are certain situations where you may be a little bit nervous. Now, there's two things that come into here: whether you should take a lawyer with you to the interview and whether you should be nervous. So if for some reason you didn't meet the eligibility criteria and somehow you still got an interview notice, or if you have some type of criminal record that may affect your eligibility for citizenship, then I understand you're going to be a little bit nervous. In those types of cases, or if you are just a nervous personality, or you don't speak English that well, in which case this video might be difficult itself, then it's recommended that, or I recommend that you take an attorney with you. They may or may not do anything, but it will make your life a lot less stressful. Okay, now, but if you don't have any eligibility problems, if you don't have any criminal records, if you speak English fluently, if you're not the type that's going to be sweating profusely out of nervousness, then you probably don't need an attorney to go with you, and I'll talk about that in just a second as well. All right. Okay, so here's what happens. So now you've handed in your notice, you walk in, the officer calls you in, says come into my office, they sit you at a desk, they sit across from you, and what happens now? Well, the first thing that they're going to do is probably going to make small talk with you until the time that you get to their office, but then they're going to swear you in. They're going to make you raise your right hand. This is my right hand, may look like my left hand in this video, and they are going to make you take an oath to tell the truth. Here's my advice. Tell the truth. Don't lie about anything. You are now talking to the US government. You don't want to lie to them. Okay? If you don't understand something, tell them you don't understand it. If it doesn't make sense, you can ask them to rephrase it, but don't lie. If you don't know, say, I don't know. If you don't remember, say, I don't remember. Don't lie. It's going to bite you in the butt if you lie, okay? Remember, this is the US government, and that's also why you're taking an oath to tell the truth. The other thing you should know is that the government probably knows everything about you. I want you to go in with that assumption that if you think you're hiding something from the government, you're probably not, so it doesn't help to lie. All right, now they're going to talk about what kind of questions are going to come into play. Well, if you're at an interview, if you got an interview notice, then you submitted a form called the N-400, the application for naturalization. Okay. In that application, you filled out a lot of information about yourself, your family, your history, your travel. You checked off yes and no to a bunch of different questions. Make sure you have a copy of the application that you filed. If you don't, ask your attorney. You should get a copy because I want you to study that application. I want you to see what's on there because these are questions that they're going to ask you. They're going to ask you questions about what you submitted. Where do you live? How long have you been in the country? Who are you married to? Who are your children? Have you ever been divorced? Do you swear to uphold the Constitution? All this good stuff is going to come into play. So make sure you know what's in your N-400 application inside and out. You got to study, by the way. You got to study this stuff. Don't walk into this interview without being prepared. And there's a little more studying even after that. So first thing you want to do is you want to know your N-400 application inside out. If you have an attorney, talk to them. They'll give you a copy. They might even guide you as to what might be asked. But my recommendation is know everything on there because it's information about you anyway. All right. Now, while the officer is asking you these questions about your N-400, if for some reason you didn't understand something that the officer said, don't get nervous. Ask them to say it again or say, I don't understand. Can you rephrase that? Can you say it differently? And they might do that to make it easier for you. Remember, they want to help you out. If there's a word or two that you don't understand, say, I don't understand that word. I don't understand what that means. Can you rephrase it? They will. Okay. This is another important thing. Changes, they're going to ask you about changes since you filed the application. So if you've traveled out of the country, if you've gotten married, it's important if you've gotten divorced and your N-400 application is based on your marriage to a U.S. citizen, that's going to be really important. If you've had children, if you've committed any crime. So when you're studying your N-400 application, go through it and say, hey, have any of the answers that I put in this application when I filed it changed? If they have, make sure you know that because you're going to have to tell the officer saying, yeah, this has changed since I filed. You know, I filed the application and these are my travel dates, but I traveled out of the country again. For those of you in the United States, which is obviously where this will be, I don't know why I had to say that. Yes, travel to Canada is outside of the country. I don't know why some people don't think that, but yeah, if you travel to Canada, even for a weekend, that's outside of the country. So you want to know all your travel since the time you filed. And so if these answers have changed, make sure you tell the officer. Again, don't lie, be truthful. All right, what else here? Okay, now the tests. Now, You might be exempt from some of the tests because of age or how long you've been in the country. I'm not going to go into that in this video, but if you speak to your attorney, they will let you know if you're exempt or not from taking the civics test. And I'll talk about the civics test in just a second, but they're going to talk about the English test. Now, the English test is, hey, do you speak English and do you understand English and can you write English? That's what they want to know. They're going to have a pretty good idea from the minute that you walk in whether you know English or not, but I understand that your English may not be spectacular. If it is, you can kind of skim over this section. But if it isn't, please understand that the officer wants to work with you. They want to help you get your citizenship. So if you come in not knowing any English whatsoever and you're not exempt for some reason from the English exam, then you're going to have some issues. So I recommend that you get an understanding of what types of questions they're going to ask and what the answers are, and get a basic understanding of English before you go in. Otherwise, it can cause problems. They're going to ask you, they're going to listen to how you speak English, they're going to listen to how you respond to their questions, and they're going to ask you to write a very simple sentence in English to make sure that you have an understanding of the language. Next, the civics exam. All right, U.S. government, U.S. history, U.S. all that good stuff about the U.S. government is covered in the civics exam. If you don't study for the civics exam before you go in, you are going to have problems. Now, I have included a link to the USCIS site where they have the information that you can use to prepare for your test. Study it, study it, study it. It's important. Know all the answers. Keep studying till you get it right. It's important because you need to get at least 6 out of these 10 questions correct in order to pass. If you don't, you're going to have issues. I don't want you to have issues, so make sure you study for your civics exam. Now, after you're done with your civics exam, after you're done with your questions about English, after you're done with your questions about your N400 application, the officer is going to make a decision saying, hey, are you eligible for citizenship? Did you pass the interview? Did you pass all the tests? Is the eligibility correct? And are we going to issue you citizenship? Now, if they make a decision right then and there to say, hey, congratulations, you have gotten citizenship, then the only thing left to do is to go for the oath ceremony where you get sworn in as a U.S. citizen. In some places it happens the same day, in some places it happens on separate days. The officer will guide you as to when your oath ceremony will be. Now, there are certain circumstances when they cannot make a decision right then and there. They need to speak to a superior officer, or they need some more information that you haven't provided. That shouldn't make you nervous if you have that information. If they're saying, hey, we're missing a document that we really need to give you citizenship, here's a piece of paper, send it in to us, and once we have this piece of paper, we'll be able to make a decision on your citizenship. Don't freak out. It's okay. This is normal. If it's another reason, like there's some criminal record that prevents you from getting citizenship, in that type of case, they'll let you know, and you want to speak to an attorney at that point, okay? So I think that pretty much covers everything for what you can expect. I didn't go through the specific questions because the specific questions are listed on USCIS's site, and I've included a link below this video so you can just click on it and study for the exam. Did I mention that you should really study for the exam? Make sure you study for the exam. All right, I think that's it, yeah. And listen, if you're going for your citizenship interview, good luck. I think you'll do fine. Make sure you study everything. Did I mention you should study? I can't say this enough. Study hard. Good luck. Thanks for checking out this episode of Ask Samir, and I will catch you on the next episode. All right, here's what you should do now. Speak to a licensed immigration lawyer about your case. If you'd like to speak with me, head over to kumarlaw.com and click on the button that says Talk to Samir. You and I will hop on the phone and you can ask me anything you want. No question is off limits. Thanks for checking out this episode of Ask Samir. For more videos or to ask me a question, head over to kumarlaw.com.